What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Very Cold Lasagna podcast. I'm your host, DylanLasagna. Welcome to the show that has a safe and open listening platform for casual, hot, cold, and even the dumbest takes on the world of WWE, AEW, the NFL, and the wide world of wrestling and sports in general. I'm your host, DylanLasagna. Welcome to episode number 26. That big 26. I know it's only 26, but it's big to me, damn it. Anyway, welcome to today's show because we got a good one for you all, even if it's super late, out of date, actually very out of date, and very outdated, but still, it's not quite as out of date yet, even before the day before the next edition of the weekly episodic edition of this particular show. Because today, we're going to be reviewing All Elite Wrestling's Double or Nothing pay-per-view, the 2021 edition of AEW Double or Nothing. Again, I know, super late, out of date on my end. This was on Sunday, May 30th, on pay-per-view on Memorial Day weekend. But for a wrestling fan that actually tries to have a life outside of the podcast, outside of wrestling, honestly, I was just not excited for this pay-per-view. Even heading into Sunday, I was just not excited. The only thing I was excited about with this pay-per-view was the Stadium Stampede 2 between the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. That was pretty much it. Everything else was just shit. Everything else looked shitty to me. And not only that, I had other stuff to deal with in my life, like work and stuff here in this house. And there's other more interesting stuff happening around sports, like basketball, even though it's kind of ass too. If you ask me, the NBA playoffs is kind of ass too. But at least that's somewhat more interesting because the Fakers are one game away from elimination as I speak. Hopefully the Suns can close them out again as I speak. The Phoenix Suns are leading the Fakers, the LA Fakers, 3-2. So hopefully the excuses James can be out of the playoffs already, so we can get this NBA playoffs officially underway. But anyway, we're here to talk about some wrestling. We're here to talk about AEW Double or Nothing because it was apparently a very long show. And when I finally got to catch up on this very long show, I had no words. I really had to go to the other side and click on speed and watch this at 2x speed because this show was just so damn boring. It really was about to put me to sleep. It really was. So grab your Very Cold Lasagnas, get them out of the fridge, and get them ready for my casual and coldest opinions on AEW Double or Nothing because we're about to review this this pile of very cold ass poker chips. We gotta plug some shit first, as we always do here on Very Cold Lasagna before we talk about the main stuff. Follow me on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. And if you're watching the vodcast, aka the video version of Very Cold Lasagna, make sure to subscribe. Turn on that notification bell so you'll be notified of each and every episode that comes out on the Very Cold Lasagna YouTube channel, as well as freaking extras, rants, other new stuff that I don't put here on the full episode of Very Cold Lasagna, especially on the audio side of things. Speaking of the audio side of things, make sure you listen to me on the go on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor FM. There's actually one more thing I wanted to address before we get into my full AEW Double or Nothing review. There's something that happened last week prior to AEW Dynamite, aka Friday Night Dynamite. I was on vacation, like pseudo vacation of sorts. I was in Tahoe for the Memorial Day weekend, and I was on Twitter and I saw this promo by Tony Khan. He actually was addressing this supposed like talks between WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And he cut this promo prior to Dynamite in this Twitter video. He's being interviewed by Tony Schiavone. And he was pretty much talking about how these rumored New Japan and WWE talks are bullshit. And he was talking about how he was the true Forbidden Door. And again, he literally outright called out WWE and their president, Nick Khan, who, by the way, is doing a lot of like spring cleaning at the moment with these releases right now, and I'm gonna address that in a separate YouTube exclusive, so make sure to check that out. When if there are any further releases, I will definitely address that, but once the storm has cleared, I will definitely give my thoughts on that. But anyway, Tony Khan addresses outright WWE and its president, Nick Khan. So he's the president, WWE president Nick Khan is essentially the second in command to Vince. So Tony Khan lists his accomplishments of sorts with his working relationship with New Japan, and honestly, I don't really remember any of these accomplishments because he lists all these accomplishments, yet does anyone remember any of it, to be honest with you? So in my opinion, I gotta be honest with you, like, I really don't get why AEW continually wants to poke the bear that is WWE and Vince McMahon. And I don't know, Tony Khan, man, he outright calls out WWE, one of its key executives, by name. I don't care if it's like a work or a troll job or gimmick or anything. Tony Khan's the Forbidden Door. Like, what is the Forbidden Door? What is the Forbidden Door, Mr. Khan, man? Like, what is that gimmick supposed to be? All right. The one thing you don't want to do, and take that from Eric Bischoff, is poke the bear. You've seen what happened to Eric Bischoff with WCW. Like, Tony Khan, you don't want to do that. And it's not to defend Vince by any stretch of the imagination, because again, like, WWE, Vince McMahon, Nick Khan, they're doing some serious shit right now, and whatever's happening over there. Apparently I don't know what's going on over there. But anyway, it's just being honest. Like, you really don't want to poke the bear, because eventually it's gonna bite you in the ass. It really will. Now, as for this rumored WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling, like, potential partnership, these rumors on this potential partnership, I just don't see it happening. Like, what does WWE have to gain from it? Like, other than, oh, we get the exclusive rights to, being partners with New Japan. NJPW gets to have these exclusive matches with WWE wrestlers, and that's it. That's all. But not only that, how does it really benefit? How does it benefit true wrestling fans? The one that wants to see larger than life personalities, characters, wrestlers that actually have charisma on the mic and in the ring. How does it benefit true wrestling fans to see like a bunch of unknown strong style, aka young cucks style wrestlers being on Raw and SmackDown, wrestling, actual wrestlers that have like a gimmick, actual charisma, like Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley? I don't know. It just really doesn't. It doesn't, in my opinion. So overall, Tony Khan, man, looks stupid, outright calling out WWE, and I just don't see this relationship with WWE and NJPW turning out. I really don't. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about our main topic for today. AEW Double or Nothing. So again, this was a very talked about show. I guess this considered AEW SummerSlam of sorts, because All Out is kind of like their WrestleMania, I guess. But AEW Double or Nothing was held in Daly's Place in Jacksonville. It was a full house of fans. I can give AEW a little bit of credit here. It's nice to see a full house, like a packed arena. But then again, if you're in like an NBA fan, you've been seeing that slowly but surely. in the last couple of weeks with the NBA playoffs. So for me, it wasn't really much of a surprise, but it was helpful, I guess. But for wrestling fans that don't watch other sports, it was good, I guess. It was good to have them back. But it wasn't enough, to be honest with you, to save this really bad snooze fest. Now, again, not everything was bad about this snooze fest. It was just, in my opinion, really damn boring. It was really boring. So we start the show with the buy-in. We had the NWA Women's Champion Serena Deeb, or whatever, going up against Riho. Now, for all the casual fans that didn't watch wrestling back in 2010, like over a decade ago, Serena was part of this group led by CM Punk, known as the Straight Edge Society. So they were pretty much like pledging their allegiance against drugs and alcohol, pretty much. So otherwise, like, she was like, who cared? Who cared about Serena? Who cared about Riho other than the hardcore wrestling fans, the smarks? So I just personally didn't care for this match. I actually didn't pay attention to this match at all. So I just went straight into the main card. So all I know is Serena Deeb won this match, and yeah, she retained the NWA Women's Championship, I guess. So that's something to get everyone ready. So then we have the main card. We have Hangman Adam Page versus Brian Cage, and I admit this was a good match to get everyone ready for Double or Nothing to open the show. It's a good match to get things going. Adam Page is a popular guy with the fans, and I wish I could say the same for Brian Cage, because the AEW should seriously be pushing this dude. I just don't know why they're not. But anyway, let's look at the match. So for some reason I thought Adam Cage was getting see, I'm getting the names mixed up because they rhyme. For some reason I thought Adam Page was getting a lot of the offense in this match. Like there were a lot of moments in this match where I thought Brian Cage was, I don't know, he didn't seem like he was doing much. But the moments that he did do something, Brian Cage, there's this one particular spot where I thought it was cool, where he grabbed Adam Page, and he did a bicep curl with Adam, like holding Adam Page, and he transitioned into a Samoan drop, but Adam Page countered that Samoan drop into like a pinfall attempt. So that was pretty cool to see. So much later in the match, Brian Cage tried to, steal Adam Page's finisher, the buckshot lariat, but instead Page hit Cage with the F5, the F5000. So yeah, I still kind of forgot that Brian Cage literally uses the F5, Brock Lesnar's finisher, as his finisher for some reason. I don't know why the F5 is being used in AEW, and I don't know why it's not being protected well, because, well, they took Brock Lesnar's F5 finisher and it resulted in a cheap 2 count. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what the hell? So Team Taz later came out to try to help Brian Cage, and Brian Cage was all pissed off, and I think it was Ricky Starks who had a neck injury. He tried to give Cage the FTW title while the referee was distracted with the other guy in Team Taz, but Brian Cage didn't want to win it that way. He threw away the FTW title from the ring, so that distraction was enough for Adam Page to recover, hit the buckshot lariat to win the match. So decent opening match to start the show, and again the right one to start it, because Page was a popular guy with the fans. I will say though, like, there was this one particular like part in the match where they were no selling in like a minute nonstop, and I was just like, why are we still doing this? It's like you had a good thing going with this match, and you're just gonna insert like 1 minute of like trading moves and pinfalls while no selling at the same time in the span of 1 minute. Like, guys, come on. And while I don't like the fact that Brian Cage lost another match, he got like the build of of a guy that you should push. I mean, at least they can continue this like story of Brian Cage finally eventually breaking away from Team Taz. So I guess that's something, but decent match. I just didn't like the no selling, and we'll see what happens from there with Brian Cage and Team Taz. Hopefully he eventually breaks away from Team Taz and has a monster push, hopefully. But speaking of the no selling, we get into a lot of that in the AEW Tag Team Championship match that happens next between, as the OTR Essential says, the Bucks of Sucks, the Young Cucks, going up against Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. And this was your typical Cucks of Suck bullshit, you know, the super kicks and no selling bullshit, all the spot orgies that make Dave Meltzer and all the smarks jizz their pants going, oh shit, they're gonna go on a super kick orgy and do all these dives, flips and kicks and all that shit until they make me come all over the place. So that was pretty much all this match was, a bunch of no selling. I will say a couple things. Jon Moxley came out to a better version of Wild Thing. I mean, I noticed he used Wild Thing a couple weeks ago in that IGWP US title match, and I was like, why did they change it? Why did they change his theme song? It was okay. His original theme song was all right. I didn't know why they had to change it to a Wild Thing, but I mean, this version, this remix is a little bit better. It's fine for what it is. So better than the one he used in that IGWP US title match, whatever it was. So some quick things that happened during this match, this spot orgy of a match. So I think it was Matt or Nick Jackson, they busted Jon Moxley open with a spray can while the referee wasn't looking. And again, the Young Cucks did their typical spot orgy bullshit, hitting the Meltzer driver like on Moxley on the ramp, and they had their super kick orgy on Eddie Kingston and Moxley, and the Young Cucks won this match with 4 straight beating the Elite knee strikes, which is a stupid finisher. Like they could have just ended our misery with the freaking Meltzer driver and got it over with, but no, they had to add a new stupid move into their arsenal. So I don't know. This was the match that continued the trend for a lot, at least for half of the matches throughout the night. Long ass match, no story, no character, nothing notable other than the match was finally over with. I mean, is it hard for the Young Bucks to have one match where they can tell a flat out explicit story where they don't have to freaking no sell, they don't have to have so many false finishes that drag out this match for like 30 plus minutes? I mean, goddamn, is it that hard? They took like 2 damn pile drivers, for example, a finisher that, you know, back in the day would actually finish the damn match, and they would kick out of them. And I know all you new Jenners, all you wrestling, supposed wrestling fans that say, oh, you're just a boomer, you're just a 90s kid, you're just that wants the old times back. At least make it make sense, you know? Like, come on. This is a move that pretty much knocks your ass out. Why are we using it like as like a transition move here? Like as if it's like a regular move in 2K. Like, Jesus. So again, typical cucks of suck garbage that the hardcore wrestling fans overpraise and overrated yet again. And I gotta say, again, if you want to get through this match, for all my listeners and viewers of this podcast, you want to get through a Young Cucks match, especially this one, play this match at 2x speed. And if there's a 3x speed or a 4x speed, even better. So it can help you get through this bullshit. It can especially help you get through this other bullshit. So the Young Cucks retained their AEW tag team titles against Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston, and anyone but the Smarks, no one cared. Nobody cared. So then after that, we had the Casino Battle Royale, and Jungle Boy won this match. And how we got there was, well, the final two came down to Jungle Boy and Christian, and Jungle Boy actually eliminated Christian to win the Battle Royale. So he'll be facing the AEW World Champion in a couple weeks on Dynamite. Actually, this coming Wednesday. Is it this coming Wednesday or next Friday? I don't know, but on the next edition of Dynamite, not this coming edition, but the next Friday or Wednesday, whenever the next Dynamite is. So there are some things that stood out to me in this Battle Royale. I liked Penta El Zero Mio's Joker outfit. That was pretty cool. And I don't know why. I really don't know why they continue to do my guy Max Caster dirty. Like, he's putting out these decent, good bars, man. He came out in the first order of the match, and he gets eliminated just very early on. Come on. Give the dude some justice, man. Give Max Caster some justice. The Acclaimed, they've arrived. They've arrived, man. Give them a decent push. So, another thing that happened during this match was Leo Rush. Some of you may remember him, some of you don't, but for those that do, Leo Rush was the mouthpiece for Bobby Lashley back, I think it was like 2019 or something, or 2018, I don't remember, but he was the mouthpiece for Bobby Lashley, and he made his debut on Double or Nothing, and we all thought he was going to make it to the final, like, at least the final four, but no. Literally, when he was revealed as the last entrant of this match, he literally got eliminated 2 minutes after. Yeah, that's just how uninspiring, unsurprising that reveal was. Everyone in the crowd was jerking off to it, but to me, it was just like, okay. So, as for Jungle Boy winning, I don't get the reasoning why he needed to win that match when Christian was literally right there to face Kenny Omega. He actually had a reason to face Kenny Omega when, he had that stare down with Omega, like literally a week after he made his debut at Revolution. And if they wanted a member of Jurassic Express to win the Battle Royal, give the damn win to Luchasaurus, please. He wasn't even the damn Battle Royal. Like, this is a dude that AEW could be marketing, and yet they continually choose not to do so. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, come on. Market Luchasaurus, man. So, they're going to have this world title match, probably in the main event, because AEW doesn't know what the hell they're doing, between probably most likely Kenny Omega, who is going to be the world champion, and Jungle Boy in a couple weeks on Dynamite. So much for Christian outworking everyone, huh? So much for Christian going from WWE to AEW to outwork everyone. Like, wow. So in the next match, we had Cody Rhodes going up against Anthony Ogogo. I don't know who this is, nor do I care. But I will say, at least Cody Rhodes finally got rid of that stupid Go Big Show remix of his theme song. Although he had this, like, stupid instrumental in the background. Like the during his regular, like, remix, like, during his regular version of his song, it was like, really? Like, I honestly didn't remember anything else to happen during this match because, well, honestly, this was pretty short for what it was, and I'm not interested in any of these guys. So Cody won with the Vertebreaker, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I will say though, I just like this is really what this match led to. I like, for America, like Cody Rhodes getting another victory, ego stroking his way to a victory for America. Yeah, Cody beat racism, guys. He beat a guy that people are supposed to think was being racist towards the American dream. Yet, apparently this Anthony Ogogo dude was a legit boxer, but he was unable to continue his boxing career and became a professional wrestler. So I guess he's the true American dream. I don't know. Cody Rhodes, man, that guy is on some weird stuff. I don't really care. So then we had the TNT champion Miro, aka Rusev, going up against Lance Archer, and apparently they were feuding over Miro attacking Lance Archer's manager, Jake the Snake Roberts, a couple weeks ago on Dynamite. So on paper, it seems like a decent fight. It seems like two big dudes going up against each other, but considering how Lance Archer has fallen in the last year, since ironically this was the same event where he lost the inaugural TNT. Is this the inaugural TNT championship match? Yeah, this was against Cody Rhodes. This was the same event where he lost the inaugural TNT championship match against Cody Rhodes. So there were a couple of things that, even though it was kind of short. So Miro sent Archer to the front row of the fans with like a suplex, and then much later, and towards the end of the match, Jake Roberts later came out to try to get some revenge on Miro, tried to cost him the match. He tried to use the snake. He tried to get it out of the bag, but Miro attacked him and he even threw away the bag. He threw away the bag that had the snake in it. So Miro tried to super kick Jake the Snake, but Lance Archer stepped in to chokeslam him, but Miro kicked out, and Archer tried to hit the blackout, the reverse crucifix powerbomb, but Miro was able to escape and like knock out Lance Archer enough to lock in the accolade, aka the game over. You know, game over. And Lance Archer tried to get out of it. He almost did, but Rusev kneed him in the back, and he arched it to pass him out and retain the TNT title. And I'm just wondering, throughout this match, did Lance Archer even get any offense in this match besides like trying to get the blackout and trying to hit it and hitting the chokeslam and putting Miro through a table? I don't know. I felt like he hit very few moves. He got very little offense in, but I guess it's a testament that AEW is finally trying to push Rusev. I mean, sorry, Miro as this monster, unstoppable heel that he should be. And he looked that way Sunday night. And, well, if Lana, who was released by WWE, joins him in AEW, which I imagine she will, because considering they're both husband and wife, they could be a dominant tandem in AEW. So hopefully it stays that way. So next up, yeah, we had a lot of matches in this night, but fortunately I was able to watch it at 2x speed. So next up, we had AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. So apparently on the go home show on the Friday before Double or Nothing, they introduced a larger version of the AEW Women's title. So they finally got rid of that Barbie-sized ass title, finally. And not a lot happened here, to be honest with you. A lot of like moves, false finishes, like it was just very long. This was a very long match, and the only thing that notable happened was the end. So Rebel, Britt Baker's like manager, I guess, she almost caught Baker the match by accidentally hitting her with the crutch, and Shida almost got the win with a 2. Rebel would later be ejected, but while the referee was ejecting her from the match, Britt Baker hit Shida with the title belt, hit the curb stomp, who by the way still does it better than Seth Rollins, and Shida kicked out. And even though Shida later hit a knee strike on Britt Baker, you know, played possum enough to lock in the lockjaw. She finally cinched it in and made Hikaru Shida tap out and finally end her long ass AEW Women's Championship reign. And I gotta say, like, I mean, Hikaru Shida was as Women's Champion. She didn't even do anything as the Women's Champion, to be honest with you. I'm sorry for people that liked her, but in all honesty, she was in the crowd for most Dynamites. She She only defended the title on pay-per-views, and she wasn't in a lot of matches. She was just in the crowd, cheering people on and watching the other women wrestle. It was a testament of how AEW, and I think it's Kenny Omega that books that division, they didn't care about her. They didn't care about Hikaru Shida. So, I don't know, decent match. Again, I didn't like how there were so many false finishes. But the ones at the end were okay. They were needed, but the ones prior to that were unneeded. And again, with Hikaru Shida losing, finally ends that long ass 372-day reign or whatever. And in comes Britt Baker, finally establishing the reign of DMD. So this is like the culmination of all of her hard work, all of her development as a heel, and much needed, really needed for the women's division. And again, it's a testament of how hard Britt Baker has worked to not only establish herself as a cornerstone for AEW, but overall as a wrestler. She was kind of like this cookie cutter babyface. Didn't really like, she had the dentist character, but it wasn't really as defined before she turned heel, and they fleshed it out, and she started gaining a lot better overall charisma, character, in ring. She was definitely getting, like, she used this last year to get a lot better, and AEW finally saw that. So congratulations to Britt Baker on becoming the AEW Women's World Champion. Well, I wish this match had a better story other than Baker becoming the top contender. This is the right decision. This is definitely the right decision on having Britt Baker become the new champion, and we'll see what happens in the reign of the DMD. So we had 2 matches left before the main event. Yes, by this point, this is starting to become a really long show. So then we had Sting and Darby Allin versus Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page in Sting's first in-ring match since 2015, where he was injured in a WWE title match against Seth Rollins at Night of Champions. And I'll admit, I was initially worried about Sting taking all these bumps and going to do all this wear and tear in the ring. But I gotta be honest with you, he did pretty good for what he did. And he already showed no signs of wear, taking a suplex bump on the ramp. Although I will admit, he didn't need to no-sell that. He did not need to no-sell that bump, that suplex bump. But he dove onto Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page from the poker chips. So that showed that he still was able to do it. He got his bearings back on the the regular wrestling, and his deficiencies weren't hidden, whatever. It weren't hidden in that street fight, that cinematic street fight earlier at Revolution. So for a lot of the match, it was all Darby Allin, and near the end, Sting and Scorpio Sky went head to head towards the end, and while Sting missed a Stinger Splash, Sky tried to go for a springboard cutter, but Sting caught him into the Scorpion Death Drop for the win. So again, Sting moved pretty well for a guy that's over 60, and for someone that hasn't actually wrestled in an in-ring match since 2015. And well, I was against him no selling the suplexes on the ramp. He did pretty well. He moved pretty well, able to execute a lot of his moves when he was in action cleanly. I gotta give props to Sting performing well in this match. Now, I just wonder, what do they do with Sting and Darby Allin from here? Like, does Darby eventually start to make that slow and gradual turn on Sting? Do they just mutually split up? I mean, at some point, this alliance between Sting and Darby Allin's gotta lead to somewhere, because they can't stay with each other forever. It's gotta lead to somewhere, whether it's at All Out, Full Gear, on a random episode, Dynamite. This thing with Sting and Darby Allin's gotta lead to somewhere. I'm just saying. So next we had the AEW World Championship. Yeah, this is your AEW World Championship. Kenny Omega, Pac, and Orange Cassidy. I mentioned a few weeks ago about Orange Cassidy being in the World Championship match at Double or Nothing. I mentioned how stupid it was that Orange Cassidy, for as over as he is with the fans, how this guy that looks like a mid-carder is in a World Championship. I kid you not. At least with Santino, when he was in the Elimination Chamber in 2012 with Daniel Bryan, of all people, at least everyone knew, whether it's from fans to executives, they knew Santino was already a comedy act. Like, but AEW was trying to present him as a serious deal when he isn't. When the fuck he isn't. But in order, it doesn't help that Kenny Omega already sucks as champion with no charisma, terrible mic skills, no character. Yet fans claim to him having a character as the cleaner. Like, what the fuck is the cleaner? Is it him cleaning up the barf that every time he's on my TV screen I hurl? So he has to clean up every casual fan's mess every time they see him on the TV screen, not knowing who the fuck he is. Like, what is the appeal of Kenny Omega other than, you know, doing some weird kinky shit? Apparently he does that. Credit to the Smart Busters for finding that out. So anyway, on to the match. On to this boring ass match. So a lot of spots. It was long and boring. Pac almost passed out Orange Cassidy with the Brutalizer, his submission finisher, and Kenny Omega couldn't break Pac's grip. So he was trying to stomp on him, but Pac wouldn't let go. So out of desperation, Omega knocked out the referee and hit Pac with all the title belts that he possessed, the TNA, that AAA, AEW, all the gold that he held. Until Orange Cassidy came in, hit Omega with the Superman punch. Yes, he's stealing Roman Reigns' move now. And Orange Cassidy nearly had the match won, but since Kenny Omega knocked out the original referee, Aubrey Edwards had to run out and make the count. But by then, Kenny Omega was, well recovered enough to play possum and pin Orange Cassidy with a crucifix to win the match and retain the AEW Championship. So again, I was just very bored with this match. This is another one of those matches I had to play at 2x speed because I just wanted to get through this. It was so boring. And even playing at 2x speed, I was like about to fall asleep. So I'm honestly glad that this match didn't main event, but I'm also not happy that a world title match featuring two glorified jobbers in Omega and freaking Orange Cassidy. I mean, Pac is alright, but I just don't care enough about him. This world title match, where they have no business being in, is your main event, or like close to being the main event. It was so high up on the card. They could have at least put Sting and Darby Allin before the main event, or I don't know, Shida versus Baker, because, it was like Britt Baker's crowning moment. I don't know. They could have done something AEW other than this shit fest. But that was your world title match. Kenny Omega retains against Orange Cassidy and Pac. And in some breaking, on Sunday at least, in some sudden breaking, not so breaking, out of date news, Mark Henry, yes, the WWE Hall of Famer and supposed WWE lifer, Mark Henry made his AEW debut and was announced to be a commentator for the new AEW Rampage show in August. So, wow. I did not expect that. I really did not expect Mark Henry to go to AEW. It's pretty weird, if you ask me. Like, another WWE like lifer loyalist like Mark Henry. It's weird to see him being in WWE for so long, and then he goes to another promotion. Like, wow. But I'm glad he's getting another chance to sign in another promotion. I mean, even though it's not wrestling, but I guess the only thing I could say positively about Mark Henry being AEW was, like, I heard, he's been trying. He has a good attitude backstage, and he coaches wrestlers to be better. So hopefully he can coach a larger majority of the roster on how to be actual wrestlers, be larger than life personalities, and how to not be such damn pussies in real life all the damn time. So, well, we'll see what happens to Mark Henry, but kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy if you ask me. So, next, the main event. This is the match that I've been personally waiting for. The Stadium Stampede. The Stadium Stampede match between the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. Now, I was kind of wondering how this was going to work with live fans in attendance, because last year, during the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously, it was a cinematic match between the Elite, Matt Hardy, and Adam Page, and going up against the Inner Circle. So they were able to do a lot, like literally a lot of crazy shit in that match. In this match, I was wondering how they were gonna do that, considering there's gonna be live and they're gonna have fans in attendance. Like, how are we gonna be able to pull off all these like crazy ass spots? So I was going to this match pretty like with pretty like tempted expectations. Like, I was excited, but I was also trying to keep my expectations like tempered. There's also a stipulation in this match where if the Inner Circle lost, they would have to disband. So like I don't know. It was just like, all right. So I feel like shouldn't that have been the blood and guts match here then, if that stipulation was in place? But anyway, so here's some highlights from the match, because there was a lot of shit that happened that went down. The Inner Circle going down like these cable cords from the like one of the Jaguars like Titantrons was like video screens was pretty cool. Like, they corded their way down from the top of the Jaguars video screen. That was pretty cool. And then get into the real match. So they're just brawling around the field to start, and then when they get inside, Jericho hit MJF with like a chair toe with like cookie sheets. So that was pretty cool. And then like MJF like threw coffee at Jericho, and then Jericho screamed at MJF with the megaphone. And then once they went inside office in what's supposedly an office area, they actually walked into the coach's office, the coach's room of one Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer and assistant coach Charlie Strong. So that was a pretty cool cameo. Urban Meyer actually assisted Jericho by giving him his laptop and letting him hit MJF with it. And they brawled in the film room, the Jaguars film room. So that was pretty cool to see. Meanwhile, Jake Hager and Wardlow battled in a freezer. FTR and Santana and Ortiz, they had drinks and they brawled in a nightclub. Dax Hardwood and Santana eventually made their way and fought in the elevator. And then much later in the match, Chris Jericho and MJF went into the Jaguars front office, like no joke. And you even got a cameo from the Jags owner and Tony Khan man's father, Shahid Khan. And then in the front office, still, Jericho stapled a thank you card onto MJF's forehead with MJF screaming like a little girl. And Jericho busted MJF open by throwing him into a glass office door. And yeah, someone definitely had to clean up that front office on Tuesday after the holiday. So eventually they make their way back into the live crowd, and Shawn Spears, he's looking for Tully Blanchard, but he's instead not only chased by the Inner Circle Bicycle Club, but in a reverse turn of events from last year, Sammy Guevara chases down Shawn Spears in a golf cart, and they head back to the ring. So meanwhile, Jericho and MJF are brawling in the live crowd, and Jericho powerbombs MJF into a nearby mini table, like a coffee table of sorts. So in the ring, Sammy Guevara is battling with Shawn Spears, and Shawn Spears actually hits 2 unprotected chair shots onto Guevara that result in near falls, and Spears tries to curb stomp Guevara like he did when the Pinnacle first formed back like in March. But Guevara ends up doing what Guevara did to him when that happened, and he hits the 630 splash on Spears to win that match and keep the Inner Circle together. So I gotta say, well, it wasn't as like good as the first Stadium Stampede. Obviously, this first one was pre-filmed, and while this one was live, I think it was at least this Stadium Stampede was live, and there was a lot of pressure for them to make this work, make it count, and make everything like going for them. This still was the best night. This still was the best match of the night for me. This is the only match that I was looking forward to, and it was good. It was really, really good. Like, not really good, but good. What I liked about this Stadium Stampede in particular was how they didn't reuse the same areas. I mean, except for the field, obviously, because that's where you start. With the exception of the field, they didn't reuse the same areas as last year, like the Jaguars pool or the bar that Hangman Adam Page and Jake Hager were in. They actually kept things fresh. They went into the Jaguars front office. They had Urban Meyer and Charlie Strong be there in Urban Meyer's coaching office. So that was pretty cool. And unlike last year where it was like comedic and there were a lot of like funny stuff, there was still some funny stuff here, but this was kind of more like a blood brawl. This felt like a blood feud that, you know, they really want to hurt each other all around the stadium. This felt like one of those fights that had a serious tone to it, even with its comedic moments. There's just a couple things that I wonder why they happened. Like, why did they have Sammy Guevara get the winning pinfall on Shawn Spears when this feud was pretty much about Chris Jericho versus MJF? So shouldn't have Jericho beaten MJF in the ring, like, you know, as revenge for pushing him off the blood and guts cage? Like, couldn't they have done that? Also, like, why didn't they do like this pre-match promo, like, you know, a promo package, like showing, like, recapping the events leading up to the Stadium Stampede 2? Like, why is it happening? Or like what happened at Blood and Guts, and why did the Inner Circle have to break up if they lose? You know, I'm surprised for a main event match they went straight into it. It's just kind of weird for a match that was hyped up pretty much, like, a lot. And I also wonder how this feud would have been had the Stadium Stampede happened first, or over the Blood and Guts match. Like, if the Stampede match happened first and then Blood and Guts happened at Double or Nothing. I just wonder that, because, you know, Blood and Guts felt like that feud ender. They should have ended that feud there, but instead it was relegated to the Kickstarter. It's like, where do you go from here? The Inner Circle won. They're staying together. Like, where do you go from here? Do they break up like the Shield did 7 years ago? Like, does someone within the Inner Circle turn on one another? Like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know where they go from here. Like, I don't know where the Pinnacle goes from here. I don't know where the Inner Circle goes from here. I just find it hard to believe they're gonna do one more like blow off match after doing like 2 big stipulation matches. Like, I mean, Inner Circle won. It was the right call, but it's just, where do they go from here? Where do they go? But I did like the Stadium Stampede. It's just, where does this feud go from here? So overall, outside of the Stadium Stampede, Britt Baker winning, and the opening match between Brian Cage and Hangman Page, I just didn't like the show. I did not like Double or Nothing. I thought it was just below average. Now, I'm being nice. It was boring still. It was not terrible, not completely terrible. It was just below average. And it doesn't help that it was 4 hours too long. And even at 2 times speed, it was still 2 hours too long. And I was seeing a lot of praise for this show. I was seeing a lot of praise when there were only like 3 good things that to come out of this show. Actually 4, if you consider having a full capacity crowd. And I'll admit, having fans, full capacity fans back there in a wrestling event was good. It brought energy, a lot of energy back into the show, into a wrestling show, whether it's AEW or WWE. But it simply wasn't enough, in my opinion, to generate any excitement into these matches, into most of the show, because most of the matches were garbage. There's just spot fest after spot fest, long match, false finishes. Can we just have one match, one show, whole show, where if you have at least a long match, can you at least have a narrative? Can at least have a fewer false finishes? Something that doesn't freaking, I don't know. My God, like, do they ever learn? Do they ever learn? I don't know. But it's just overpraised. It really is overpraised. Like, I don't know how people see this as like one of the best shows when it was just it was really, Double or Nothing was really it was just overpraised dog turd for some reason. Like, people thought this was the greatest thing that they ever saw, when again there were only 3 things worth talking about on this show. But if you really want to see Double or Nothing, watch it at 2 times speed, so you can get through the long meanness filter going into the Stadium Stampede, which is my opinion was one of the only matches, actually the only match worth watching on this show. The opening match was fine. The Women's Championship, the ending was okay, but for a match that's fully worth your time, the Stadium Stampede is your way to go. Not as good as last year, but good enough for me. But overall, Double or Nothing 2021, hot dog dookie water. But those are my thoughts, my opinions. Again, everyone has their own opinions on wrestling, but those are my personal opinions, and I stand by it on AEW Double or Nothing 2021. My super late, out of date review. And I know I'm sorry. I'm doing this review really late, but life happens. But thank you all for joining me on this review of AEW Double or Nothing 2021 on this episode of Very Cold Lasagna. I am your host, DylanLasagna. Thank you for joining me on this fine episode. Make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor FM, and follow me on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. And as always, keep that lasagna very cold and in the fridge with your take on the world of wrestling and sports in general. And keep that lasagna in the fridge, close it for now, and until next time, peace out.